Okay, in this question we need to construct the percentile graph for the given data. We are given classes and their frequency. For example, it means that in the class 20.5 to 29.5 there are 8 objects or people, whatever it is that you're studying. And so what is a percentile graph? So it has actually another name that is easier to understand. It's called the cumulative relative frequency graph. So when you hear cumulative relative frequency, it starts making more sense. It is the same as percentile, but when you have a frequency table, it's easier to complete it with the cumulative frequency and the relative frequency and the cumulative relative frequency, which is the same as the percentile. Okay, so we now will go to the next page, and I computed things already, but I want you to notice something. Notice what has been created here. This is, if you look at the frequency table, we look at the classes. Instead of writing them as 2.5 to 11.5, then 11.5 to 20.5, when you are creating a percentile graph, it's better to look at the smallest one in the second class and put less than this one, and you know that there is only one that is less than this. And then if you want to look at everything that is less than 20.5, then you will need to add the 1 and the 5. So this will give you the 6 here. And then something that is less than 29.5, it's going to be the 1 plus the 5 plus the 8, which is 14. And so on. You can continue making this cumulative frequency. Each time you add the next one in the table. Then what you can do is you can do the cumulative relative frequency, which are the percentages. These percentages, you can get them in many ways, but one way is to divide this number that you have here by the total number of values. By the way, if you add up all the values in this frequency table, you will get, of course, 46. And so you can divide 1 by 46 and multiply by 100, then divide 6 by 46 and multiply by 100, and so on, to get the cumulative relative frequency. Okay, I have tried my best to round these numbers to 1 digit, so if I'm off by a little bit, it's still okay for the graph. Specifically that for the graph, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference if you're within 0.1%. So let us say now that you know how to create this. It's something very simple to create. And now what do you do with this information? Just remember one thing, that when we are creating a percentile graph, it's important that you keep track of the here, less than, put it less than, all of them, of the values that you have here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the last one, when you say less than, you don't have anything here, so choose also the largest value of the last class to put it as the last one for the less than, and then you'll get, of course, all of them, which is 100%. You see, it's 100% because all of them will be less than 56.5, all of the data values. Now, I'm going to the next slide that has the percentile graph. You look here, we have 11.5, so we chose the boundaries of the classes. You look here, I mean the endpoints of the classes, and we said that for less than 11.5, the cumulative relative frequency is 2.2. So This is where the first dot, the dot that you see here in this graph is. So it's this one here. And then, of course, for the second class, the less than 20.5, you see the 20.5 here, it's 13.1, which is here, 13.1%. And then for the less than 29.5, it's 30.5, and you can see the 30.5 here, and so on. This one, you can see it here, and so hopefully I still have more colors. So this one, you can see it here. And the last one, the 100%, of course, is, you can see it as the last one here, 100%. So this is, then you connect these dots. After you put these dots, you connect them with lines. And that gives you what we call the percentile graph, or another name for it. It's because, you see, you got it from this column. This column is all what you needed to get it. So it is the cumulative relative frequency graph. But okay, if you prefer to use percentile, it's okay. Also, we are using percentile. If you remember, what is a percentile? It's the percent of data values that are less than a certain value. So the percent of, for example, look at this part, less than 38.5%, less than 38.5. So all the data in our set that are less than 38.5 are approximately 65.3% of the data. This is what it means here. And that's why we can call it also percentile graph, or, as I said, cumulative relative frequency graph. I hope that by now you got an idea of how this is drawn. And I will end this video here.